Hey. Oh, why is that up there? No, that's not supposed to be there. Yes. Another week, another podcast. How is everybody doing today? Now, again, my co-host's not with me again. At the moment, it's been a bit hard for us to sort of stick to schedule, but at the moment, it's just pretty much when I have a spare goddamn moment, I'm able to do the podcast for the week. But at the moment, thing is, though, as we're getting into closer to December, my work's sort of been kicking my ass. So, and it doesn't help that I've got a bit of the man flu, which doesn't help. So, yes, it's been a bit hard to sort of keep the podcast cracking on and keeping things floating enough and casually going at a steady, nice pace. But, well, I guess at least we still get to have to do the podcast every week, which is the main thing. It's one of the main things that I personally love doing every week. And one thing that I would like to mention is my Twitch channel just became affiliate. I know that I don't have huge majority of followers and that, but I do want to thank every single person who followed me, has watched my content from the. There's quite a few of you, and I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank even Vesp enough as well. A lot of the work and stuff he's done for the podcast, even Toast Farmer at the beginning podcast, and even with my streaming when I first sort of started to stream that 2.5 years ago. Excuse me. I can't thank everybody enough that has come along with me for the ride. It has been a small journey, and even though it's a very small step, but it's a big step for me. It's a big step for me because it shows to me that it's something to pursue, something to keep doing, and something to strive for and try and make some sort of even a side job out of it. And that drive has really pushed me to the point where I really need to start working on some sort of stream schedule, some sort of a way for me to actually do the things I can do, work out a way so I'm able to do podcast every week. The only thing that I can really think of at the moment is having a rotation week by week basis on my schedules. But till then, I will figure it out. But majority of the time, I will be streaming No Man's Sky. It seems to be the game that a lot of people like watching me for now. Even though I'm still very much a noob at the game, and I'm still very much learning how to play the game, it's something that I want to keep playing. It's something I've been having a lot of fun with, and I'm going to keep doing. So, start off the podcast. Thank you very much for everybody's support. It has been absolutely astounding, and it's been absolutely awesome to have that love. Even for the people that have just been watching me for my my No Man's Sky stuff, you guys are all awesome. Even though there's not really too many of you, but I can now officially say I actually have fans. not diehard fans, but I have fans. So it's good. It's good feeling. But anyway, let's get into this week. Now, usually I do have a Muggle of the Week. No one has really fucked up this week. There was some problems when it came to Halo, when it came to launch. Apparently, there's a bit of input lag when it comes to the mouse and keyboard. Personally, I haven't experienced this. Personally, I think that the keyboard and mouse is still pretty fluent. I'm still able to get a fair amount of kills. I'm still able to do everything that anybody that has a controller can do. The only difference is that people with controllers are able to overpower the people with keyboard and mouses, when in reality it should really be more the other way around. But apparently it's something that 343 is looking into, and they are working on a patch to fix it, whether it be in the short future or whether it be somewhere towards when the next when probably Halo 1 Combat Evolved comes out onto the collection. But the only thing that was closest to a Muggle for the week. Now, anybody that doesn't know what our Muggle of the Week is, a Muggle of the Week is something we picked up from Randy Pitchford, because you like to call his employees Muggles and stuff like that, and degrade them and shit like that. So he was our first Muggle of the Week, just to put that out. But we now have a Muggle of the Week every week, where we do have our week of internet bullying for that one person. But Ninja's the only person that I could really think of to do a little bit of internet bullying again, and this is another second time. He's been in this position. It's not really he's fucked up, but his whole holier than thou opinion of himself and how much of this fucking great fucking awesome person he is. But let's bring it up, because Ninja wants to remember as the greatest gamer of all time. The man truly has tickets on himself. He just does. The man just knows no leaps and no bounds. It's just, I want to be known as the greatest gamer on it. No, mate. No. If anything, there are so many other fucking people that stream that aren't really in the pro scene or have been in the pro scene that could kick that man's ass with fucking both hands tied behind their back. Shroud being one of them. And it's just, I can't. It's just, for me, it's funny. Only a couple of weeks ago, he was defending a guy hacking in a video game, even with the quote unquote context, right? He was defending him and going on about how, people that do content creators should be exempt from being banned on video games for hacking. No. That's a load of bullshit, and that really can't slide. So, but anyway, it's one of those things that is very much laughable, and it's I couldn't believe he said it. I couldn't. I could not believe that he said that, and how he still thinks that it's funny how, you know, they consider that to be, the man's a fucking dropkick. Sorry, I have a personal hatred for fucking Ninja. He has such a high opinion of himself. It's not funny. It's quite fun to listen to, and quite fun to poke fun at. But seeing though technically he's our Muggle of the Week, he's not going to be on our podcast. His picture's not going to be on our podcast, because, to be really honest with you, I've already had my major rant on the man. I don't need to have another one. So my point's already been made. Sorry about my daughter in the background. She has locked herself in the room and she refuses to leave. Oh dear. Right. So, 1 second. Right, okay. Back to it. Right, so the next thing is, next story of the week. Apparently Rockstar removed 15,000 N-words out of Grand Theft Auto 5. Why this was needed, I have no idea. Like why this was even needed is no idea. I don't genuinely get why this was needed. Because honestly, Grand Theft Auto has been very, very well known be sort of on the edgiest side when it comes to their storytelling, and they're very well known for pushing the boundaries and pushing the marks with their video games and bringing out a lot of controversies and stuff like that. I don't see why this is an issue. I don't see why they need to actually remove it, because people were complaining because they were going, oh, well, they said the N-word quite a few times. Yes, it's a very horrible word, but at the moment, no offense, but because so many people say it so much now, it's just not really that much of an impact of a word anymore. It just isn't. Like, don't be wrong, it's still a fucking vicious word to say, especially to another person. But again, like, because so many people say it now, and so many people, you know, it's come now to the point where, you know, but when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the N-word thing, I'm pretty sure back when I played GTA 5, it was only Franklin that ever said the N-word. And he's his friends. So I don't see how it was really needed to be, removed, because in modern society, if you are an African American, usually it's okay to say it to another African American person, but it's not really okay, socially acceptable for a a white person to say that. Which I get, I understand in some shape or form, but then again, it doesn't really need to be changed. It could have just stayed the way it was. Um, Personally, I don't see this as a big thing to change. Hell, they might as well censor Django Unchained. They might as well censor um, Blazing Saddles. They might as well just censor everything that even has the slightest inkling of. And it's like when you got people in other countries even going to jail for telling a joke about the Holocaust. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's just at the moment, art and storytelling and jokes being attacked for the specific things they say, or whatever messages people dream up in their heads is what they think, like, what needs to change, and what is, according to these minority of people, need to change. And the funny thing is like, I see all these far left people, like, and by the way, as much as people are really not going to, because like, I'm not far right or far left or even right or left leaning. I sort of try and stay away from politics as much as possible. But when you have both sides of radical right and radical left trying to censor and change the way art is portrayed and the way things are done, it's just, it is a problem. It's not a good place to go. Not the best route to go down, especially when it suffers a lot of content creators, it suffers a lot of comedians, it suffers a lot of game studios, and even movie companies film companies that just want to bring their art to the world, but they have to bow down because because the minority are the biggest ones that kick up a stink. Like, you look at like the last female Ghostbusters movie. My honest opinion, back when it came out, I watched the trailer. I thought, it doesn't look great, but look, maybe if I watch the movie, it might be all right. I had a bit of faith in the movie. It had a decent cast. Director at the time was doing okay movies, so I thought, okay, I think it might be all right. Went and watched it. I voiced my opinion on Facebook, said I didn't like it. It was just awful. I shouldn't have spent my money on it. It was very bad. I was labelled as sexist. That's not right. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, we're censoring way too much of our media to the point where free speech is non-existent anymore. It just isn't. Like, even America, they go on about the Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment is still being enforced and still can be defended in court, which is great. But you can still see it slowly turning away from that. And you can slowly start seeing that the Second Amendment is being pushed further and further away back for their free speech. Problem here in Australia, we don't have a free speech law. Well, we do somewhere, but it's again pretty strict on what you can and can't say and do. But honestly, I did not see any need for them to do it. Like, I personally didn't think there was 15,000 N-words into the game. There might have been, maybe, if you did all the side missions and stuff like that and you heard it all the time. Yeah, I kind of gather. But I didn't think it was used that much. But well, I guess we can move on from that anyway. And the next thing is, PlayStation is no longer interested in making handheld consoles. Now, I'm a little disappointed in this, only for the simple fact that, like, even though the PSP wasn't a huge success, it did have a pretty decent lineup of pretty decent games. It genuinely did. Had a lot of good decent titles. heavy hitters. Some of the God of War games were actually not too bad. The Killzone game that came out for it wasn't half bad either. Like, the PSP wasn't a bad console to own in the first place, but it was a little finicky. But when the PS Vita came out, that was a pretty damn solid console. It just was sad at the time when it came out. It was a bit too pricey for people. It was a bit too pricey for people to go out and buy. And, like, because it cost as much as the PS3 did at the time. People were like, well, what's the point in me buying a portable console when it's going to cost me the exact same amount when I can get, like, the PS3? Like, again, it did cause a lot of stir, and as well as, too, it was, like, battling against Nintendo. And Nintendo has always been the company to beat when it came to handheld consoles. It just was. It's sad that they're not doing any more of them, because honestly, I think if they did maybe one more, did something along the style of what they did with what Nintendo did with the Switch, but better, I think they would have a moneymaker on their hands. Because, again, like, the Switch is a great fucking console. A great console. A great handheld and home console hybrid. It's perfect. A perfect system. The only downsides are the storage. The storage is pretty lacking, and the battery life is pretty shit. Those are the only two major problems. And they are pretty major problems, seeing as though that when you have a handheld console, you would need the battery life when it comes to long trips in the car or on a plane or something like that. And when it came to storage space, when you wanted to download a lot of games from your store, you had to go out and spend another $100, $200 on a really decent SD card to put in it. And one that only supported the Nintendo Switch. Or, the specific type that supported the Switch. Which was a bit hard for the Nintendo. And the problem is that if they did the same sort of similar setup that the PS3 did, like, if you had a cartridge, it wasn't going to take up a lot of your data. It was all going to be on the cartridge. It would run straight off the cartridge, and all you had to do was just make a save on your console, and that was it. But at the moment, seeing as with how graphic intensive a lot of games are and stuff like that, it isn't really a viable thing to do. Not anymore. So I kind of understand why they want to step back from it, especially considering the fact that they're primarily working on the new PlayStation. Fair enough. I'm curious to see what games are going to be bringing out for the new PlayStation. I do have higher hopes for the PlayStation 5. I think the PlayStation 5 will probably bring out some pretty decent heavy hitters. Sorry, this man flu is killing me. But I'm interested to see also where Xbox is going to go into, because I've heard rumblings that Xbox may get into the handheld console market, but I don't think they'll even get close to where even PlayStation got. But I do understand they did make a massive gamble. And they also said too as well that mobile gaming was on the rise, which I get. No, I completely understand. But honestly, people still like their handheld console. They just do. Honestly, as I said, if they did the exact same thing as what Switch did, make a hybrid, right? I think you'll have a lot more people go out and buy them. Because then at least then they know they're going to get a great, graphics intense game for a portable device. But the problem is at the moment with how hardware is today and stuff like that, it is very hard to do. Switch made that gamble. It worked for them, but they had to really make a lot of stressful cuts. Which did in some ways severely affect the Switch. But if they keep going the way they're going, I think if they do it again, I think the next version, like a Switch-type console, if they do it again, next time, maybe, just maybe, it might actually be a heavy hitter. The only things that the Switch needed to work on, a little bit better performance from the handheld console, and the handheld part, and as well as more battery life and more storage space. A lot more storage space. And I think the Switch would have a big market. So, moving on from that, Conan Exiles launch trailer. Why do I have that up here? Okay. Okay, so new YouTube's policy eases up on video game violence. YouTube announced that it has updated its policies regarding scripted or simulated violence for video games. Going forward, videos that include violent scenes from video games are less likely to be age restricted on YouTube. Well, thank fucking Lord, because it needed to be. Though there are still some caveats. In a new support blog post by Google, the company announced that starting on December 2nd, 2019, scripted or simulated violent content in video games will be treated as the same as any other type of scripted content. Even though there's a lot of other violent scripted content on your platform that you absolutely just outright fucking demonetize, like Raka Raka and stuff like that, which do make top of the range content, even though, yes, it is not for children whatsoever, and it is rage restricted, but they get demonetized like fuck. It's not right. What this means specifically for YouTubers who create violent video game content on the platform is that future game videos that include scripted or simulated violence have a better chance of being approved instead of receiving an age restriction. Age restrictions videos are often age-gated, making them harder to watch. However, this does not change YouTube's policies towards real-world violence, which aren't allowed on YouTube. Also, if your video game video focuses solely on violent or gory imagery, so for example, a gore compilation, then YouTube may still age restrict the video. Personally, if you're playing a violent video game, right, that's not for children, like GTA, God of War, Days Gone, like using that as a reference right in front of me. Yeah, Last of Us 2, Last of Us 1 even, PUBG or Halo, whatever like that, should be age restricted. But don't demonetize them. Because it shouldn't be. Like, I do understand in some ways, but then again, I don't see why they should be, demonetized. Now, the age restriction thing, fine, but the problem is when it comes to age restriction, you also follow suit with demonetization 9 times out of 10, which doesn't help the content creator. It just does not. And it cruels that content creator in the end. We know there's a difference between real-world violence and scripted or simulated violence, such as what you see in movies, TV shows, or video games. Google says in its blog post, so we want to make sure we're enforcing our violent or graphic content policy consistently. Google's policies on violent content restrict real-world violence include footage, audio, or imagery that depict a variety of real-world violence that are posted with the intent to shock or disgust viewers. Okay. Any content that violates these terms will be removed, and the creator will be given a warning. The second violation will earn you a strike that goes towards your YouTube 3 strikes policy. That said, these rules should make it easier for content creators to publish videos that include violent scenes from violent games without getting their videos age restricted. This comes at a time when Google is making deeper inroads into gaming thanks to projects like Stadia and YouTube. Even though the Stadia was a bit of a fucking messy start, but alright, we'll move on from that, I suppose. When it comes to But look, your only problem when it comes to all this stuff is that it's not really helping in a long way if you're still going to demonetize the age-restricted content, which is what you do on a regular basis. You age-restrict them 9 times out of 10, right, for some of the scripted violence, and even in videos as well, right? And when you give them the age restriction, which is fine, it's okay if it's extremely violent or kids shouldn't be watching them play that sort of video game in the first place, that's okay, but you demonetize them on top. That's the same as like gun channels, right? You age restrict them, fine. Okay, kind of understand it, kind of don't, but alright. But then you demonetize them. It's the same with video games. Same with, content creators that make the violent skits and stuff like that. Again, like Raka Raka. Which deserve a lot more credit than what they get. But again, they're always demonetized for the simple fact that, that their whole entire content, like stuff they make, is violent. Again, I'm okay, and I think a lot of other people will be okay with age restriction. What a lot of people don't like is the demonetization that comes with it. I know there are some people that do get cranky about the age restriction in general. Look, I'm sorry, but if you do make a violent content and stuff like that, and you do make, you play a video game and you stream it, or you record it and put it up on YouTube, and it's violent video games and stuff like that, that young kids really shouldn't be watching, I personally understand why there needs to be age restriction. I personally do. But then again, as well, you have YouTube's Kids now. But the problem is with YouTube Kids, though, is that you only have the app on your phone or tablets. You do not have that app on, like, let's just say your consoles, or some of your smart TV boxes that some people have, or it's not even on smart TVs even. They don't have them. They don't have that app. In a lot of ways, I think if you want to push the YouTube Kids platform for kids to watch primarily, you really need to start making it more readily available. The only way you can watch YouTube Kids on TV is if you have a Google Cast. That's it. So, unless there's other ways, I don't know. But personally, from my experience, the Google Cast is the only way to do it. You want to watch it on your television. But then again, then other people keep saying, well, parents need to keep an eye on their kids. I do agree. But in a lot of other parents' arguments that I do agree with as well, it is very hard to concentrate exactly what your kids are doing 100% of the time. I get it. I understand. I agree. But then again as well, ultimately, we're the parents. I say we're because I'm a parent myself. My son is watching a video that I deem is not okay for him to watch, which is very regularly. I tell him to change it. If he puts it back to those videos, he gets in trouble. You have to have some sort of ground. You need to be some sort of parent. In this day and age with technology, parents need to keep informed and need to make sure what your kids are watching, what they're playing, what they're doing, and what you feel like is okay for them to play and do. Back when I was a kid, my mum would refuse for me to play Grand Theft Auto. She refused for me to play Grand Theft Auto. It was banned in my parents' household. Now, the reasons my mother goes on about, it wasn't valid. But in a lot of ways too, yes, it was a very violent video game. Yes, it did have a lot of adult themes that my 10-year-old brain really shouldn't be playing. So I understood in the end. When I turned 16, got my first job, bought my first Xbox, bought Grand Theft Auto 4, first thing my mother said to me was, you can play it all you like, just don't play it around your kids. Don't play it around your siblings. Fine, I'm okay with that. It's now come to the point now that we need to start, like, the policies like these really just cruel the content creator in the end more than they help out content creators in the long run. But moving on from there. Next thing is that Fallout 76 Update 16 arrives next week. Solo play, festival challenges, and free trial. At this point, I've given up. I defended Fallout 76 back when it came out. I defended it so much. But they just keep digging themselves a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger hole. And even when it looks like they're going up, they crash fucking back down to earth again. And they crash and they fucking nosedive. I have lost all my faith in Bethesda. Hell, I'm worried about what Doom Eternal is going to be like. I'm fucking worried. Because if it's going to keep going with the same bullshit, it's not going to work and it's not going to go well. You know, like, at least Fallout 76, you know, when it came out, the critics were a little too harsh. Because it wasn't anywhere near that bad. Most of the complaints a lot of people had were little nitpicks. And bugs that they have been in the games for fucking years. Yes, you can use it as an argument that they haven't fixed those bugs. Fair enough. I get it. Alright? Like people would think, I had a couple of people say to me recently, seeing as though you trashed fucking Outer Wars, does that mean you think Bethesda did a better job with Fallout 76? No, God no. The Outer Worlds is better than Fallout 76. Not by much though, in my honest opinion. But when you put it up to the stack of like Fallout 4, the Fallout 4 at least had a consistent storyline. Again, you were able to unlock the majority of the map, right? It took you about 15 to 20 hours to finish the game. Running at your own pace, running the main missions, not really doing the side missions. It's part and parcel better. But do I think Fallout 4 is a perfect game? God, no. It has its problems. But Fallout 76 has gone off the deep end. Personally, I think what they need to do is they need to make it free to play. Clearly, they want to keep pushing the microtransactions. Clearly, they want to keep pushing a lot of the pay to win stuff. And honestly, if they want to keep doing that, might as well make it free to play, and then it'll be dead it'll be dead again in the next 6 months. Or not even that, probably 3. Hell, you look at Battleborn, for instance. They've shut down all of the servers for the video game, and this is their biggest problem. They had a chance to revitalize that game, and the best way to do it is make it free to play. Put in a bit of microtransactions. Try and drag an audience back now that Overwatch is, died down. And there's a bit of time before Overwatch 2 will come out. It's going to give a lot of players sit there and go, oh, well, we could come play this. We'll go, see what it's like. It's free to play now. Bring in some audiences that didn't purchase the game in the first place because they bought Overwatch instead. Because you tried to market it against Overwatch, which was stupid when the games are vastly different. It needs to sort of, needs that real, but because the company's too greedy, they don't want to fucking change the way they think. They've left it the way it was, and now the game is completely dead. So honestly, Fallout 76 needs a revival. Honestly, I think you guys need to take about 6 months. In my honest opinion, give it 6 months. iron out the shit, iron out the problems, sort out a balance, also create a major big fuck off patch that brings in a lot of new content, make it all free to play, including the game, and then have your microtransactions in the background. And then give everybody that's bought the game prior something worth their money. That's what they need to do. Evolve tried that. Evolve did have a bit of a comeback and then died again. Problem though with Evolve though was that there was still too many problems. But honestly, Fallout 76 needs to make a big change. They need to make a big change fast because their player base is dwindling rapidly. Next thing was a bit of an interesting one this week. Halo Reach was nearly just called Reach, but Microsoft objected. Okay. Halo Reach has just been released on PC for the first time as part of the Master Chief Collection, bringing the beloved game to the system 9 years after its release the Xbox 360. The game, which was brought to Xbox One as well and is available on both systems through Xbox Game Pass, was the final Halo game made by the original developer Bungie before they moved on to Destiny. Many of the folks who worked on the game are reminiscing about it on Twitter using the hashtag ReachMemory. And some interesting information has come out about the game's name. David Candland, who designed much of the game's user interface, says that the original intention was to just call the game Reach without a Halo attached to it. Microsoft objected, insisting that the game should be called Halo Reach for brand recognition, as Halo was and remains a major flagship of the Xbox brand. This makes sense, but as Candland's tweet points out, they retained their simpler name on the game's title screen. See, now, I would have been okay with Reach. Just being Reach, because we all would have found out in the end that it would have been a Halo title anyway. So, honestly, I think it should have just been kept called Reach. Honestly. But again, anyway, it's interesting little tidbit for a bit of a history about the development of Halo Reach. I have been playing a bit of it the last couple of days. It is quite nice to have Halo on PC. Well, not again, but just in general. Even though we had Halo 1 and 2 on PC, they never really had much of a big sort of backing, and they never were on Steam either, which made it even worse. So it's good to see good to have Reach, at least Halo, on PC in its entirety. Apart from 5, which I kind of gather they're going to release later on as a single game on its own, which is fair enough. Moving on, Modern Warfare Season 1 update adds new multiplayer maps and missions. GS news update. We kind of covered this recently. They did bring out a trailer recently about it. If you want to go watch it, it is up online somewhere on YouTube. Just type in Modern Warfare Season 1 update trailer. You'll get the trailer and you'll be able to read up and see what's new. And the last but not least, the uplifting moment and the fuck's sake moment. Because every time I see this, it makes me just go, how? Someone beat Halo 3 on Legendary using a Guitar Hero controller. Like, what the fuck? How will people... Like, you must not have a life to just do this. You just obviously cannot have a life. It's incredible how people are like this and just put their time and effort into practicing this and working it all out. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. It was 249 deaths. What was his final cap? 251 deaths at the end of his Guitar Hero run. Shit, that's not bad. That's pretty good. I want to say... I want this to actually be a pretty cool, like, sort of speed run mission for people. Do Halo, do Halo, right? Like, try and do something like this or something like Halo, like on the hardest difficulty, and see who can beat, like, when it comes to deaths. The least amount of deaths is the best you can do, and in the quickest amount of time of doing it. I think that would probably be a very interesting and a very hard task, but I think a lot of people will be trying to do that. I think it'll be very, very interesting. But anyway, that is it from me tonight. Now, sorry that you had to put up with my coughing, splattering, and nasal blockage, but this flu has sort of kicked me in the guts. And I was supposed to work tonight, but I'm still a bit crook, and I hurt myself yesterday, so not best to sort of go into work tonight. But if I went into work tonight, you guys wouldn't have been able to get your podcast, so good to get the podcast over and done with. Just to reiterate, with a lot of people that missed at the beginning of the podcast, thank you very much to the people that have followed my Twitch channel, that have supported my Twitch channel for a while. One person in particular that I will be actually hosting at the end of this podcast, as a sort of a thank you to him, even though it's not many viewers from my part, but it's more of a thank you to him because he was one of the main ones that sort of helped me push to come back into streaming. He's been very supportive, Mr. RDDAU. I want to thank you mainly. Again, even though affiliate is only a small step, it's a big step for me, and it shows that I need to keep doing this. And it's something that I want to keep pursuing, something I'm going to keep doing, and it's something that I'm going to try and put more time, more effort, and more of my fun into, and my off time into. So thank you very much to everybody that helped me get to affiliate, especially some of my friends that also, including Vesp and even Toast Farmer at the beginning of this podcast, when he was in there for the first couple of podcasts. Thank you for your guys' support as well. Greatly appreciated. Even though the podcast, again, is not a massive success, but, you know, it's something for, again, the original reason why I wanted to do the podcast is because gaming is a massive passion of mine. I wanted to have sort of an open dialogue, have a couple of people on, have discussions about video game news and stuff like that. But at the moment, the thing is, though, that I haven't been able to stick to a schedule due to work. It's been a bit hard for myself and Vesp to sort of make a specific time every week. So we're going to have to try and make at least 2 strict times a week where we're going to have to sit there and go, right, well, if we can't do it at this time, we could try and do it at this time. So, yes, and we try and stick to those days to give each other a hand. So at least we can still have both of us on here, because it's been pretty lonely without Vesp, believe it or not. Pretty lonely doing the podcast for a while now without him. But, yes, it's been a lot of fun. But thank you once again, everybody. I'm going to send all of you guys over to Mr. RDDAU. For people that are watching on YouTube, just type in RDDAU on Twitch. He's a really decent bloke. He's been doing a lot of Minecraft recently. Even though at the moment he's doing Counter-Strike at the moment. So, yes, if you guys want to go over there and, you know, give him a bit of a watch and, you know, give him my love and support, that'd be greatly appreciated. That is the end of the podcast this week. I hope everybody has an awesome week. And let's hope that we have a good muggle of the week next week. Catch us all later. Take it easy.